Today we're talking about going from this to this. Today's episode is about giving you some helpful tools and tips to reduce the risk of things not getting done quickly in your business. So if you haven't checked out the previous episode, take the time to do that now. It'll make this episode a lot more useful. So in the last episode, we spoke about the 4 barriers being lack of a system, lack of accountability, giant steps versus baby steps, and decisions being bottlenecks. So what can you do about it? Well, let's talk about not having a proper system in place. My suggestion is get something like Trello, Monday.com, or Smartsheets. In an ideal world, what you want to do is set up those systems so that you have an agenda with an action list for every single meeting and every single huddle that takes place in your business. Now, the great thing about using these systems is that you can set them up so that they give individuals task lists. So in other words, you'll have visibility of all of the actions for all of the various meetings, but individuals will have their own action lists and they'll be able to have a consolidated action list of all of the different things that they've agreed to across the various meetings. In my experience, people don't get things done, not because they don't have the time, but often it's because it's not on people's radar. So if you want to speed up implementation, give people visibility so that they can take a little bit more ownership of the things that they've agreed to. Next up is lack of accountability. Now, this is very much a cultural thing that you need to work on. Get the team together and talk to them about the importance of implementation velocity. The next thing is to agree some rules of how you need to engage in various meetings. Generally speaking, don't agree to doing something unless you intend on doing it. Now, there's a really cool episode of Mind Your Own Business, episode 18, where I talk about the no surprises policy. Put that up on the screen, watch that video as a team and talk about it. That's a really useful tool to encourage a bit of self-accountability once actions have been agreed. Next is that you want to make sure that as soon as something is agreed as an action point, put it down, and at the end of every single meeting, make sure that you check up to make sure that things have been actioned. And as a manager, you need to follow up. Next up is the giant steps as opposed to baby steps. Now, here's a tip that I use in all of my coaching sessions. If you agree a task or an action, make sure that that action is small enough to be completed by the next meeting. Don't worry about setting big old tasks that need to be completed next month. The thing is that people kind of lose sight of that. And then, because human nature means that we always leave everything to the last minute, things don't really move, and then all of a sudden you have a surge of activity towards the end of the deadline. Make sure that actions are small enough to be completed by whenever the next meeting is. Next up is bottlenecking decisions. And I'm reminded of a conversation with a client who I know has been full on. And I asked him, what are you bottlenecking at the moment in your business? And he said, oh, I'm too busy to bottleneck. I helped him understand that it is precisely because he's too busy that he is most likely to be bottlenecking things. Raise your levels of awareness around what decisions are waiting for you. The other thing is, make sure that it is okay for people in the company to tell you that you are bottlenecking decisions. One of the best ways of doing this is to have an agenda point in all of your key meetings around stuck points and bottlenecks. That creates a space for people to go and put down any issues in an agenda. And as a team, you agree what the next step needs to be in order to release those particular bottlenecks. So there you go, my top tips on how you can improve your ability to get things done in your business. So what you want to do is turn implementation velocity into your superpower. That way, all of the brilliant ideas that your business has, all of the plans that you put in place, all of the actions that arise out of all of your meetings get implemented, and therefore you see the value, you get things done, and your business will prosper and grow. See you next time on Mind Your Own Business.